What is up, bros? Josh here. Today's video is all about the Tier 8 Italian battleship, the Roma, and is it worth it? In this video, we'll go over the stats of the ship, compare it to its Tier 8 counterparts, show you some gameplay, and give you my thoughts on whether I think the ship is worth it. However, in the end, it's 100% up to you. It's your time and your money, but hopefully this video will give you some more insight on whether this ship will be a good fit for you or not. So let's dive into the Roma's stats and compare it to its Tier 8 counterparts, and let's just say that Tier 8 is one of the most competitive tiers when it comes to premium ships and even premium battleships. There are so many ships that have been around for so long and are so good and bring something unique to the table. I'm talking things like the tried and true Tirpitz, which is a crowd favorite when it comes to World of Warships. New introductions like the Lenin have been very strong, especially in the season of clan battles. Things like the Massachusetts have kind of stormed and everyone's loving this ship. Also, there are unique ships like the Alabama, which is kind of like a premium North Carolina. I mean, there's just so many ships at this tier that have brought something unique. Even something like the Gascon, not very popular, but still loved by some people, bringing kind of that French flair to the game. So is the Roma gonna bring enough for this tier? Because not only is there a lot of competition at this tier, but there's also a high price tag that comes along with the Tier 8 premium ship and the Tier 8 battleship. It's going to bring the highest price tags other than the Tier 9 battleships or Tier 9 premiums we've seen recently. This is going to be something that really needs to stand out to really be worth it, in my opinion. But however, the stats, though, 65,400. This is pretty solid at this tier. I would say it's kind of right in the middle of the pack, maybe even on the higher end. So 65,000 on that. Torpedo protection, 38%. And the armor on this ship is what makes this ship shine. And what I mean by that is this plating, this armor belt right here. Now, the forend plating is going to be that 32 millimeters. Things we've kind of seen everywhere. But another ship that we know is tanky is also the Alabama. Now, the Alabama has that 32 millimeter everywhere. But when you go back to the Roma has that big plating that you're going to bounce a ton of shells when you are pushing in aggressively. And you'll see some clips of this. Getting in there, pushing with the Roma, using your armor against multiple ships. You have some fast turrets, which we'll get to in a second, and getting into a situation where you can bow tank a bunch of damage, bounce a ton of shells, and really kind of make it work. But are there going to be enough situations there to make this ship worth it? However, you do know that if need be, you can make a push and really be effective. You can even bounce some Yamato shells if you're angled enough. But the Roma can make some plays, but are there enough plays to, again, make this ship worth it for the Tier 8 battleship price tag? So it has the big armor. Now, does it have the big guns? Not really. Now, let's compare it to the Tier 5, the Julio Caesar, which is known as being extremely strong, probably the strongest Tier 5 battleship in the game, known as being very stealthy, very quick, amazing guns, accurate guns. Is that going to bring the same thing to the Roma? Does it translate to the higher tiers? Not at all. The Roma, known as being very inconsistent, and has smaller caliber guns even for this tier at 381 millimeters. So on the lower end, which is one of the weaknesses of this ship, but with the lower end of the caliber, does it bring a fast reload? Not really. 30 seconds, I would say, is pretty standard at this tier, so nothing too exciting. So smaller caliber, mediocre reload. One thing you do have, though, is pretty fast turrets. So again, getting into those kind of brawling situations, you will probably have an advantage on other players getting those turrets into a direction. I mean, if you've ever played something like the Warspite or the Yamato, you know what slow turrets can do if you get into a sketchy spot. The Roma, though, going to have more, I guess, cruiser-esque speed on the turrets. If you want to, yeah, fast turrets, but kind of the guns are overall mediocre. Secondaries, I wouldn't say they're non-existent, but they're basically non-existent. You are not going to be a Bismarck, you're not going to be a Tirpitz, you're not going to be a Massachusetts, you are not going to be rolling secondary specs on this. So I would say pretty mediocre secondaries, nothing too crazy on this. Main battery guns also 18.1 kilometers on the range, again on the lower end. Let's check out the modules I'm running. So you do have a spotter plane, which is pretty nice, and you do have just kind of normal premium here. But the modules I am running are main armament mod 1. I am running the damage control system mod 1. This is also what I recommend for all of this. Aiming system, you want to get those guns as accurate as possible. Steering gears here and concealment. One of the big things is buffing that concealment as much as possible. Also, the captain I'm running here, pretty standard for a Battleship 14-pointer. Preventive maintenance, adrenaline rush, picking up basic survivability, because you are probably going to be brawling a decent amount on this ship. I would say that one of the first things, if you do pick up this ship, is picking up concealment. Now you want to buff that concealment expert. Now I'll show you again once we get to that stat. Concealment expert is very nice on this ship. I went back and picked up at 14 point fire prevention. It's just a nice thing to have for any battleship that's going to be firing constantly. Also, a 14-point captain. That's again one of the things that is kind of weak about this ship, is you don't really have a line to train this ship with. If you pick up something like an Alabama or a Massachusetts or a Tirpitz, you have battleship lines to train the captain on. The Italians, we have, potentially some Italian cruisers coming up that whole line, but you don't have a battleship line. Same thing with the Giulio at tier 5. You don't really have something to train it for, so you're going to have to start with a new captain, or maybe a low captain, or use your elite commander XP or free XP to start getting some points, and you don't really have. This is the only trainer, really, if you don't have the Caesar at 5, to really kind of train it up, unless you're going to throw it on a cruiser. So a bit of a downside there as well. So guns, I would say guns overall pretty mediocre, but again, you do have a tanky ship. AA is all right. I would still put it on kind of the mediocre level. Just comparing it to something like the Gascon. Gascon kind of right there, but the Gascon brings its own things. But comparing it to something like the Massachusetts or something like that, you're not going to be shooting down as many planes as something like this. So good armor, mediocre guns, mediocre secondaries, mediocre AA. Now, this is where the ship kind of shines, and that is the maneuverability and the detection. So it is fairly agile, 30 knots, which is all right. I would say maybe a little bit on the higher end. Again, not going to be something like the Gascon with the speed boost, but still, you're going to be pretty maneuverable. Turning circle, 810 meters, rudder shift, 12.5 seconds, but the detectability is what makes the ship shine. So the thing about the Italian battleships is that they're fairly stealthy. Again, taking concealment expert and taking the concealment module is going to help you get down to a cruiser level detection. Comparing it to something else, let's just switch over again to, let's just even go to the Magi. Magi at 13.6. Just to put it in kind of reference, the Roma has the ability to disengage and then push or push in and use potentially those guns to get jump on the cruiser, or maybe surprise a battleship that's not really paying attention. So a bit of a stealthy play, then having okay guns, and then one really kind of surprising the ship, maybe firing a nice salvo, then they get kind of focused on you, but is it too late? Can you outmaneuver them at that point? There is some potential for some playmaking there. However, let's dive into some gameplay. I'll show you what this ship can do, but I'll also be realistic on if this is consistent or something you will readily see in most of your games. So here we are in game with the Roma, and yes, we will point out a couple things you can make fun of me in the comments for if you want. We are forgetting to put the premium consumables on. I brought pleb consumables, and yes, I was pink. Long story, we were a pink boy. Nothing we can really do. But anyways, we're into the game with the Roma, and I will be brutally honest with you. The only reason I was playing the Roma and go out of my way to play the Roma is when I'm doing things like I am right now. As you can tell, I'm running the pure white camel, which gives me 50% more credits. The only time I'm really going to play the Roma is when I need to farm Italian premium or Italian credits. That's what we're doing for the current event. Other than that, I really don't see what the Roma brings to the table. And, I'll just kind of put this right now. I don't think the Roma is worth it. Tier 8 is so competitive. So there's some things going along with the Roma and being a Tier 8 battleship. And again, the game we're going around right now is something that you're not going to see consistently. And what I mean by that is we're top tier, which I wouldn't say is that inconsistent or that rare of something to happen. But I do think it is that the outcome of this game was because I was playing at a bottom tier or at top tier. Tier 8s, as everyone knows, is kind of hit or miss if you're going to get top tier or bottom tier or even middle tier. And you will be going against battleships that are just better than you. Going against something like even the Massachusetts, or insert any of these kind of better battleships, any of the USN, even ships like the Amagi, which can punch you with its bigger caliber guns. You're going to be going at a disadvantage when it comes to these. However, does the Roma bring enough to kind of make up for its lackluster basically everything? One of the big downsides is it doesn't have anything to really train it with, and what I mean by that is getting a captain up high enough to really kind of be usable. So let's just say you are playing this ship top tier or bottom tier. Is there anything that's going to be worth it? Because you're going to want some of these captain skills, again, like concealment or like fire prevention. But the only way to get captains XP for the ship is by playing the ship or by playing another premium, and that either leaves it to the tier 5 battleship or the cruisers. So that is a bit of a downside, not really having a line to train it up, so it's going to take a bit longer to get that kind of stuff. But one of the upsides is the ship does bring a kind of interesting playstyle, stealthier playstyle, which is kind of fun, being able to kind of jump in and get that. But you will see the dispersion throughout the ship, and it's very and literal hit and miss. And what I mean by that is right there. So maybe that was off by me a little bit, but still, this battleship is very hit and miss. If you've ever talked to anybody that has it, it's very inconsistent with that ship. But we do, as you saw on that clip, get into a spot where the Roma does shine. But are there situations, or are those situations going to be around enough to make it worth it? And I mean by that is, if something is good in very few situations, is it worth that tier 8 price tag? And as the Roma, I really don't think so. I think you could be way more consistent when it comes to the Massachusetts or even the Tirpitz, or even insert a bunch of other tier 8s, and you could have a lot more fun doing those things. So the Roma not really bringing too much to the table as a premium ship. It does bring some decent earnings, but so does every tier 8 premium battleship, and it's not going to be pumping out a ton of extra damage. If you check out its stats on WoW's numbers, it's kind of mediocre. It's very mediocre at kind of everything. It excels in one specific thing, which is the brawling, bow tanking, stuff like that. It excels in that one thing. It's fairly low concealment, so you can kind of be a little bit, you can excel there. But still, if you look at its stats, it's kind of on the lower end, middle ground of average damage, win rate, all that kind of stuff. And it's one that's not really played that well and could really kind of, I don't know. To me, the Roma, although it has its charm and its ability to do certain things okay, but it doesn't really bring too much to the table, in my opinion. And for that price tag, I think you could get one, just a better ship overall, and two, a lot more fun out of a ship when it comes to spending 50, 60 bucks on a ship. When it comes to that, in the end, it is up to you on whether you want something that's maybe kind of stealthy, can maybe surprise a ship a little bit, can maybe kind of be stealthy as a battleship, or you just want an Italian ship. It's a +1 for me in the looks department, but overall in the actual play style of this ship, it's not even as good as some of the tech tree ships, and that's a bit of a bummer in my opinion. But still, the ship itself though does shine in certain situations, and you will see me throughout this game kind of get some decent outcome, but that is not something that is going to be a normal thing. It is something that is going to be, in my opinion, on the rare end. This is kind of I was kind of surprised to actually get this because I was playing it on my alt account. I got really lucky and got the Roma in a premium or a super container, so that was kind of nice, and was able to kind of do that. But we played a few games in it, and it's not like I was having the most fun. I was having an okay outcome, but it was something that was, again, I'm not going to go out of my way to play it. So when I say that, I think that holds a lot of weight for me. Is it something I want to go out of my way to actually play? Yes, then yeah, maybe I think the ship is worth it. But no, if there's, if I'm out there if I want something to farm credits, that's one of the biggest things I get asked about. And again, we play all these games live on twitch.tv/medash. Come check us out. But one of the main questions that comes up is, hey, I'm interested. I love battleships. I'm thinking about picking up a premium ship. What do you recommend? And I've done multiple videos. I can even put a link down below to my top 5 recommended premium ships for this year. And the Roma is just nowhere near that. And it's there for a reason. It's just, I would say the ship is very inconsistent, and it just has a bunch of weaknesses where other lines would not, or other premium ships would not. When I look at a ship like especially a tier 8 ship, I'm looking for 1, consistent outcome, so that's going to mean a lot of credit earning potential. 2, as a captain trainer. And 3, something like ranked battles or something like that. Another situation where ranked battles or clan battles or anything like that could be a potential for this ship to excel in. The Roma doesn't really do that. Now, can you go out and earn a decent amount of credits and XP in this ship? Yeah, you definitely can. But can you do that more consistently than you could in insert 6 or 7 other premium ships at tier 8? No, I would put this actually on the lower end of those ships. But you know, it does bring in. I'm not going to try to poo-poo on the Roma the entirety of this video. I just want to be 100% in this series. I want to be 100% real with you guys, because if I can save anybody from purchasing a ship that just maybe they heard one thing and they play it and they go, man, it wasn't quite that, or I want to potentially save you guys money, because these higher end premium ships can be expensive for people. I mean, that it's a lot of money for that, for a tier 8 premium, especially tier 8 premium ship, tier 8 premium battleship. So anything I can do to kind of just give you guys an insight on this is a win for me. So this, though, I feel like you can just get more out of something else. Again, you do bring some tankiness to the lineup here, but I mean, even with these smaller guns, you get into a situation where if something's kind of bowing, you can't really do too much. And I think I got pretty lucky. I think this Massachusetts either had manual secondaries and it wasn't clicking, or was able to, or just didn't have AFT or the range module. So a bit of a lucky one right there, because I thought about pushing him, but you always kind of look for that situation. But this one, though, however, he didn't have the secondary. So I guess maybe I called his bluff, but he wasn't bluffing. So, but anyways, we're kind of rotating through. So the ship does have some good speed, again, maneuverability, and you can see how fast the turrets are turning. The turrets do turn pretty quick, and you're really able to kind of get into a spot where you can pump out a lot of damage and get the shot in, fire, turn, and use that armor, because you're going to see if I turn a little bit in here, he's going to basically bounce almost everything unless he hits me in the superstructure. As I say that, he citadels me. I wasn't angled enough, so perfect timing for the video here. But still, I'm not really too worried about going against anything bow in. And the Mogami, now this is something that I even teed up during the stream. I'm like, come on, Roma, punish him. We got really good dispersion, and I was like, please don't do Roma things. We ended up smacking him pretty hard. It wasn't a dev strike, but still, I think overall I was pretty solid. But is this game so far anything that is out of the ordinary for a tier 8 battleship? Not really. We're at 10 minutes, 80k damage. We're able to be a big force on the A cap, win that cap, and then push through. And but we're able to keep pumping out a bunch of damage, and you'll see us do a lot of damage throughout the rest of this game. But I would not say that is something. And right there's a really good example of the Roma, is a god tier salvo, and then kind of a mediocre salvo, and then the next salvo you'll get something that is not even close to the target. A little bummer there. We only left him on 17k, but and then we got the kill right there. So we're kind of bringing this game back a little bit. But again, can you get some fun out of this ship? Yeah, sure. It looks good. It's an attractive ship. The Italian ships are always attractive. Can you get some good damage in the ship? Of course you can. Can you make a ton of credits in the ship? Absolutely. But is it going to stand out compared to literally any other tier 8 premium ship or tier 8 premium battleship? Not at all. This is not going to bring anything to the table, really. It's not going to bring anything more consistent. And for that price tag, I think, in my opinion, this is a definite pass. There is going to be some other ships you can get a little bit more in. Now, it does bring a unique playstyle, some decent damage there, over 100k, which is nice. And at the end, you'll see how many credits we make with this ship too. Also, shout out to this Duke York helping this video be a little bit better, because we're going to test the new Duke York Citadel on him, or we teed this up as well in the stream. And Duke York got its Citadel lowered, so I'll have to do like a new video on the Duke York. Maybe I can just do a double down right here about the Duke York. Is it worth it? But I guess you guys in the next couple salvos can give me your opinions on the Duke York and if it's worth it or not these days. But yeah, we're testing its new Citadel pretty strong right now. So he's giving us the perfect example to test it out. But yeah, let's go over the strengths and the weaknesses of the Roma. And really the strengths are, it's extremely tanky. It's really, really, really tanky. it stands out among the rest as being super, super tanky, and I think that's pretty fun. If you like brawling ships, this is definitely going to do it, but I think maybe something like the Turpits having torpedoes. This doesn't have torpedoes, and there's another nice salvo, so there you go, some good damage there. Very, very tanky, though. That's something that I think you can have. If you like to brawl, you can have a lot of fun in. Also, the ship is very stealthy. It's a very, very stealthy ship, and a stealthy battleship at that. So you don't really get too many of those. You can maybe get sneak up on something, maybe bring the game back, go dark with the battleship and cap something. That's a luxury a lot of people won't have with a lot of other ships. So having that is pretty nice. But that's kind of where the strengths of this ship end. So let's get to the weaknesses. Smaller caliber guns, 381s. Now you're seeing me with 6 Citadels, now 7. And 180k damage. This is one of the higher end damages that I've ever really had in this ship. Smaller calibers, though, you're not going to be able to overmatch as much as other ships, or even at this tier. So smaller caliber, and you know, the mediocre reload. You have 30 seconds. You know, maybe if it was 28, this is a ship that a few people have kind of asked to see if, like, hey, are they going to maybe buff this ship? But mediocre reload, there you go, we end up with 8 Citadels. So 8 Citadels with it, and but yeah, and also you can see the credits we earned and all that kind of stuff. So but still, mediocre reload, 30 seconds, mediocre AA, nothing really to write home about, mediocre secondaries. And one of the biggest things, no real nation. There's no real nation to train in this ship on. You don't really have a captain line. You can't run it down an entire tech tree line to level up a captain. If you need a captain for the Roma, you have to level up that captain with the Roma, or use your elite commander XP or free XP. I think that's a big downside for this ship. And also, on top of that, the tier 8 price tag. It's going to be near $55 USD. So that's a big negative there for me, and in my opinion, I think this ship is overall a big pass. However, it can make for some fun situations like the clip you saw earlier, but overall, I think this ship is definitely not worth it. Sad, though, I like that it brings something a little unique, but what looks cool on paper, very tanky, stealthy ship, in reality just isn't really that good, and I think is something that you can easily pass and not really miss out on too much. But anyways, in the end, again, it is 100% up to you. Let me know in the comments below if you really enjoy the Roma. You know, I kind of like unique, fun ships, and the Roma can be that, but I'm thinking as somebody, or even a true review of a ship, I want to be 100% as honest with you guys as possible, and I think unless you're some kind of collector, I think you can definitely get your money, or money well spent, elsewhere, and this is definitely something you could avoid and not really miss out on too much. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.